Today I unlock a legendary grimoire, 100 of the finest self-help books, each a potent spell for your life. I'll distill every one into a single powerful paragraph. Atomic Habits by James Clear. Atomic Habits is all about how tiny, consistent changes can add up to massive results over time. James Clear teaches us to focus on building small, powerful habits rather than trying to make huge, overwhelming shifts. He gives us easy, to follow rules to make good habits stick and bad ones disappear. For example, if you want to start reading more, instead of just saying you'll read a lot, try leaving a book right on your pillow every night. That small, obvious cue makes picking it up and reading a few pages super easy. The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People by Stephen R. Covey. This book lays out a timeless framework for becoming a truly effective person, both in your career and personal life. By focusing on 7 core habits, Stephen Covey emphasizes that these habits build upon each other, starting with self-mastery before moving to successful interactions with others. The ultimate goal is to live a principle-centered life. For example, begin with the end in mind means visualizing your eulogy to understand what truly matters to you before making daily decisions. The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz. The 4 Agreements offers a simple but profound code for living a life of freedom and happiness based on ancient Toltec wisdom. Don Miguel Ruiz challenges us to break free from self-limiting beliefs by adopting 4 powerful principles for how we interact with ourselves and others. Its whole point is to guide us away from unnecessary suffering. For example, don't take anything personally means understanding that others' actions often stem from their own issues, not a reflection of your worth. The Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle. The Power of Now is a spiritual guide that pushes us to stop dwelling on the past or obsessing about the future, and instead truly live in the present moment. He argues that most of our suffering comes from our minds creating unnecessary worries about what isn't happening right now. The big takeaway is that real peace and joy are only found in the now. For example, if you're stuck in traffic, instead of getting angry, simply observe your surroundings and your breath, bringing your focus back to the present. Start with Why by Simon Sinek. Simon Sinek's Start with Why reveals that inspiring leaders and organizations always communicate their purpose or belief first, not just what they do. He introduces the golden circle: why, how, what, explaining that people don't buy what you do, they buy why you do it. The book's aim is to help you discover and articulate your true purpose to genuinely inspire others. For example, Apple starts by saying they challenge the status quo, their why. Then they mention their user-friendly computers. What? The Subtle Art of Not Giving a F by Mark Manson. Mark Manson's The Subtle Art of Not Giving a Fuck is a refreshing, a counterintuitive take on self-help, telling us that true happiness comes from accepting our flaws and choosing what truly matters to us, rather than constantly striving for positivity. He argues that trying to be happy all the time is a losing battle. It's about figuring out what values you want to suffer for. For example, instead of stressing over every little social faux pas, focus your limited effects on relationships and causes you genuinely care about. On Becoming a Person by Carl Rogers. Carl Rogers' On Becoming a Person is a foundational book in humanistic psychology, focusing on the idea of client-centered therapy and fostering personal growth. He emphasizes concepts like empathy, unconditional positive regard, and congruence as essential for individuals to realize their full potential and move towards self-actualization. The core message is that people have an inherent drive to grow. For example, a therapist genuinely listening and accepting a client without judgment helps that person explore their true self. The Power of Habit by Charles Duhigg. The Power of Habit dives deep into the science behind why habits exist and how they work, revealing that they're the invisible forces shaping our lives. Charles Duhigg explains the habit loop, cue routine, reward, and shows how understanding this loop allows us to change almost any habit. The book's purpose is to empower us to consciously reshape our lives by understanding these powerful automatic behaviors. For example, if you want to stop snacking mindlessly, routine, identify the trigger, cue, e.g., boredom, and replace the routine with something else, e.g., taking a walk for the same rewards, relief. The 48 Laws of Power by Robert Greene. Robert Greene's The 48 Laws of Power is a controversial but insightful guide to understanding, acquiring, and defending power, drawing lessons from historical figures. It explores the often cynical dynamics of human interaction and influence. The book's goal is to equip readers with a realistic understanding of how power operates, whether for self-defense or strategic advancement. For example, always say less than necessary advises keeping quiet to appear mysterious and avoid mistakes, making others reveal more about themselves. The Psychology of Money by Morgan Housel. The psychology of money isn't about complex financial models. It's about how our emotions, biases, and unique personal histories impact our financial decisions. Morgan Housel argues that understanding human behavior is far more crucial to financial success than pure mathematical intelligence. The book's goal is to help readers develop a healthier, more rational relationship with money. For example, saving consistently, even small amounts, is more powerful long-term than trying to get rich quick, because patience and consistency outperform aggressive risk-taking. Good to Great by Jim Collins. Jim Collins' Good to Great is a research-backed exploration of how average companies can make the leap to sustained greatness. Through rigorous analysis, Collins identifies key principles and leadership styles that differentiate truly great companies from merely good ones. The book's purpose is to provide a roadmap for leaders aiming to build enduringly successful organizations. For example, first who, then what means hiring the right people first, then figuring out where to drive the bus. Ensuring you have a great team regardless of the direction. Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Viktor Frankl's profound Man's Search for Meaning recounts his experiences as a prisoner in Nazi concentration camps and introduces logotherapy, which asserts that humanity's primary motivation is a search for meaning. Frankl argues that even in the face of unimaginable suffering, individuals can find purpose and choose their attitude, transforming tragedy into triumph. The book's core message is the power of finding meaning in any circumstance. For example, in the camps, Frankl found meaning by helping fellow prisoners and preserving his intellectual work. Zero Limits by Joe Vitale. Zero Limits introduces the ancient Hawaiian healing method of Ho'oponopono, suggesting that individuals are 100% responsible for everything in their reality, good or bad. Joe Vitale, inspired by Dr. Ilakala Hugh Len, explains that by clearing our own internal blocks and taking responsibility, we can heal ourselves and our surroundings. The book's purpose is to empower readers to transform their lives and the world by simply repeating 4 phrases. I love you. I'm sorry. Please forgive me. Thank you. For example, if you encounter a difficult situation, repeat these phrases to yourself to clear any internal programming contributing to the problem. Who moved my cheese? By Spencer Johnson. Who moved my cheese is a simple yet powerful parable about how different people react to change and how to adapt successfully. Spencer Johnson tells a story of two mice and two little people in a maze searching for cheese. The book's main idea is to encourage us to anticipate, monitor, and quickly adapt to change, rather than resisting it. Its purpose is to help individuals and organizations navigate inevitable shifts. For example, when your job responsibilities change, actively seek out new skills or opportunities. Go find new cheese, instead of complaining about the old cheese being gone. Thinking Fast and Slow by Daniel Kahneman. Daniel Kahneman's Thinking Fast and Slow reveals the two systems that drive our thinking: System 1, fast, intuitive, emotional, and System 2, slower, more deliberate, logical. Kahneman, a Nobel laureate, explores how these systems interact, leading to cognitive biases and common errors in judgment. The book's goal is to make us more aware of how our minds work, improving our decision-making. For example, when making a big purchase, slow down and engage System 2 to analyze details rather than just relying on a quick, emotional System 1 reaction. The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene. The Art of Seduction by Robert Greene explores the various types of seducers and victims, offering strategies to captivate, persuade, and manipulate others, not just romantically but in all aspects of life. Drawing from historical figures and literature, Greene breaks down the psychological principles behind charm and influence. The book's goal is to illuminate the dynamics of attraction and persuasion. For example, adopting the persona of a star. One of the seducer types involves creating an aura of allure and mystery to draw others in. Daring Greatly by Brené Brown. Brené Brown's Daring Greatly inspires us to embrace vulnerability as a strength, not a weakness, in a world that often demands perfection. She argues that true courage comes from showing up and being seen for who we really are, even when it feels scary or uncertain. The book's core message is about moving from "what will people think" to "I am enough." For example, asking for help at work when you don't understand something, rather than pretending you do, is an act of daring greatly. The 33 Strategies of War by Robert Greene. The 33 Strategies of War is a comprehensive guide to the timeless principles of warfare and how they apply to everyday conflicts, from business to personal relationships. Robert Greene extracts lessons from military history, showing how strategic thinking can help you outmaneuver opponents and achieve your goals. The book's purpose is to sharpen your strategic mind. For example, Divide and Conquer suggests breaking down a large, intimidating problem or competitor into smaller, manageable parts to overcome it more easily. Emotional Intelligence by Daniel Goleman. Daniel Goleman's Emotional Intelligence revolutionized our understanding of success, arguing that EQ's emotional intelligence is often more crucial than IQ. He highlights key components like self-awareness, self-regulation, empathy, and social skills, explaining how these abilities contribute to personal and professional achievement. The book's aim is to show how developing our emotional skills can lead to greater happiness and effectiveness. For example, instead of reacting impulsively when frustrated, taking a moment to identify and manage your anger demonstrates self-regulation. Mastery by Robert Greene. Mastery by Robert Greene explores the journey from apprenticeship to true genius, revealing the common paths taken by history's greatest masters. He argues that mastery is not a gift but a process, requiring deep immersion, intense practice, and a creative breakthrough. The book's purpose is to inspire and guide anyone seeking to achieve true excellence in their chosen field. For example, studying the masters in your field for years, deeply understanding their techniques and philosophies, is a crucial step towards developing your own unique mastery. Mindfulness for Beginners by Jon Kabat. Jon Kabat-Zinn's Mindfulness for Beginners offers an accessible introduction to mindfulness meditation as a way to cultivate awareness and presence in daily life. He emphasizes that mindfulness is about paying attention, on purpose, to the present moment without judgment. The book's purpose is to help readers reduce stress, improve well-being, and live more fully. For example, during a mundane activity like washing dishes, simply focusing on the sensations of warm water, soap, and the dishes in your hands is practicing mindfulness. Essentialism, The Disciplined Pursuit of Less by Greg McKeown. Essentialism is a powerful call to focus on less but better, guiding us to distinguish the vital few from the trivial many in our lives. Greg McKeown argues that by eliminating non-essential tasks and commitments, we can reclaim our time and energy for what truly matters, leading to greater impact and fulfillment. The book's aim is to help us live a life of purpose, not just business. For example, instead of saying yes to every meeting request, ask yourself if it's truly essential to your top priorities before committing. Ask and it is given introduces the teachings of Abraham Hicks, focusing on the law of attraction and the power of deliberate creation. The book explains how our thoughts and feelings attract corresponding experiences into our lives, encouraging us to align with our desires. Its core message is that we can consciously create our reality by focusing on positive emotions and expectations. For example, if you want a new job, visualize yourself already having it and feel the joy associated with it, rather than focusing on the fear of being unemployed. The Art of War by Sun Tzu's The Art of War is an ancient Chinese military treatise offering timeless strategies for warfare that are widely applied to business, politics, and personal conflicts. It emphasizes the importance of strategy, deception, knowing yourself and your enemy, and winning without direct confrontation. The book's purpose is to teach the principles of strategic thinking and effective leadership. For example, know your enemy and know yourself, and in 100 battles, you will never be in peril. Encourages thorough preparation and self-awareness before any challenge. Mini Habits by Stephen Guise. Mini Habits proposes a radically simple approach to habit formation. Create ridiculously small goals that are impossible to fail. Stephen Guise argues that by setting tiny daily habits, e.g., 1 push-up, reading 2 pages, you bypass resistance and build consistent momentum, eventually leading to bigger achievements. The book's goal is to make habit building effortless and sustainable. For example, if you want to exercise, commit to doing just 1 push-up a day. Often, you'll do more once you start, but the pressure is minimal. That's 25 books down. The other 75 powerful insights are coming. Subscribe and like for part 2. Thank you for watching.